Alright, good morning everyone. It is day 107 and I've got my prune juice and soaked prunes here. It's about 6:45 in the morning. I'm gonna have the prunes first thing in the morning with sunrise. I'm here in the courtyard of my apartment complex. I soaked the prunes for 6 hours overnight, as was recommended by Nathan Von Dutch. He said if I soaked them, 8 hours or more, I run the risk of losing all the flavor from the prunes into the prune juice. So yeah, it's a weird feeling knowing I'm about to break this juice feast, and yet, for one thing, it's weird because I've become so accustomed to the routine of getting up in the morning and making the juices, and I'm a creature of habit, and that routine had become so ingrained that now it's a bit there's some natural hesitation to take that next step, but I'm definitely ready. And for another thing I've noticed in the last few days, I've been having trouble feeling more and more trouble feeling satiated just on the juices alone. Even though I've been drinking mostly melon juices, watermelon, cantaloupe, because they're in season and it's so hot outside. But those are low calorie, so I think that's the reason why I'm feeling less satiated, because they are so low in calorie. But still, I think it's also a sign that it's ready. I know it's time to eat again. So the time now is 6:47. I'm gonna drink the prune juice. It's not bad. It tastes a bit like apple juice, but not sweet. A little bit of sourness to it, but nice. All right, that was at 6:48. Now to eat the prunes. I'm gonna make sure and chew them thoroughly, even though they're quite soft. Those are good. They're sweet. Better than I thought they'd be. Whoop, something just flew out of my mouth. Important note for people doing the prune test: just soak them for 6 hours. Don't soak them for 8 hours. I think that's the right reason people don't like them, because they lose their flavor if you soak them too long. I can feel it going down my esophagus. But it's really soft. I'm trying to chew all the way, so it becomes like a liquid, thereby being easier to digest, and it really doesn't even require that much chewing. They're good. Surprisingly good. Doesn't require much effort to chew these. I should note to folks that I had been consciously chewing my juices, but also I had been making sure to chew Mastic Gum every day on my juice feast. What is Mastic Gum? It's like a sap that comes from a certain tree in the Mediterranean, mainly Greece. And it's supposed to be good for your teeth, but also it's a good workout for your jaw. And I'll talk more about that in a future video, but I wanted to do that so that my teeth wouldn't atrophy from lack of use during the juice feast. And I actually have been chewing that for a long time before. So And these are going right down. 6:48, started eating prunes. You'll notice I'm in the same place where I filmed my first video on day 20, wearing the same shirt actually, and that is not a coincidence. Emily's still asleep in the apartment, so I didn't want to wake her by filming this super early. She's actually on day 3 of her juice feast. She's doing a short one. I'm really proud of her. I've been making all her juices. I make a specialty juice she likes. It's very good for people starting out, or if you're just wanting something super sweet. Anyone who tries that juice will love it and will want to juice fast, I'm convinced. And that recipe is pineapple, apple, orange, kale, and half a lemon. Maybe 1 pineapple, 5 apples, 4 oranges, a bunch of kale, half a lemon. Very sweet, very good in summer. Hard to make though. Well, time consuming. I think I've had about 5 or 6 prunes so far, and I think I'm gonna be able to finish these. They're really sweet. Can't emphasize this enough, folks. Only soak them for 6 hours. I mean, I'm not sleeping more than 6 hours at a time anyway, usually. I'm such a light sleeper now with the juice feast. I might finish these. I've had maybe 6 of the 30 or so in here. You know, I can feel it going down. I can't really feel it in my stomach or intestines because these are so soft from being soaked. It just feels really good to chew them with my teeth, with my tongue, getting them everywhere. Making sure they're fully liquid before they go down the food tube. Man, they're good. They're really good. I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. I thought this was going to be an effort, and this is a joy. People are out here walking around. Nothing unusual here, just a normal human eating their breakfast at sunrise. I'm filming it. And the prunes are like syrupy. Oh, we got like half left. I mean, it's almost like as sweet as like a date or something almost, but a little more wet. maybe starting to fill up a little bit. You need to be sure to be chewing these thoroughly. Sometimes I get excited to swallow them, and if I swallow a harder bit, I've noticed that causes some minor discomfort going down. Whoop, these are pitted prunes, but I think I just found a pit in one of them. See, I got 14 prunes left, and I'm starting to slow down. Maybe I won't finish them. Eight ounces of prunes is a lot. I think 4 ounces is the most anyone needs to eat at one time under normal circumstances, but see, I've got 10 left, and I think I'm gonna try to finish them. Stomach feels good. I'm getting sort of a positive tingling sensation. Whoop, that was a burp. Coming from my digestive system. It's sort of a positive tingling sensation radiating outward. Bunch of birds over there. Good morning. Good. It's a recorder, video. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a tripod to keep it cheap. Have a good one. He said he liked the tripod that flexes that I use to support my phone. I also, it's pretty handy. It travels. Also, it wraps around things. I wrap it around the bar of my bike to film myself when I'm in the park. All right, I've got 6 more prunes. I'm gonna cut off the video and I'll catch you back after, once I know the results. So it is actually the day after the prune test now, and I wanted to sort of get all the prune test underway when I broke it down for you on YouTube. Um, it went well. All signs indicate that I passed the prune test, which is a big relief to me. I'm in a great mood, and was ecstatic when I found that out to be the case and confirmed with Nathan and Alonzo and Anna, who all sort of confirmed the results that I got as passing the prune test. So that's a great feeling. I did eat all the prunes. It wasn't terribly difficult to eat them all. I and you know what? I'm not sure I've seen anyone else make videos where they ate all the prunes. I think most people only eat like half or 2/3 or something. Um, so I'm not sure exactly why I was able to, except for the fact that soaking them for only 6 hours allowed the prunes to retain a lot of their sweetness while still being soft and easy to digest, and the prune water not absorbing too much of the prune flavor. Also, I used reverse osmosis ionized water, I guess alkaline water that you can get from the dispenser at Whole Foods. So maybe that also added to the sweetness of the prunes. I'm not entirely sure, but I was able to eat them all. It felt um, fine in my stomach, at least at first, but pretty quickly thereafter, and I think for most of yesterday, I felt the prunes, not necessarily in my smaller intestine, but once they hit my colon, it definitely felt like a crowding, like something was itching to get out or eager to get out. And once I did pass them, and of course that came in waves throughout the day. That sort of crowding, minor, uncomfortable feeling went away. So just want to break it down. You can see on the left hand side of the screen, at 5:30 a.m. I woke up at like 5 a.m., 5:15, I think 5 or so, and I had my normal lemon water drink. And I had the same slightly smelly but very liquid movement as I had the previous 3 days at 5:30 a.m. And I was happy for that because I just wanted to be as a clean slate as possible before consuming the prunes. So the prune test happened thereafter. I waited till sunrise. At 6:48, I drank the prune water. At 6:48, I also started eating the prunes, and then at 7:10, I finished eating all the prunes. Ate all 8 ounces of them. Not quite an hour
after that, at 8:05 a.m., I had my first movement, and I started getting feelings like I could had this movement, yeah, maybe around 8 or so, but at 8:05, I finally, you know, had to do it. And that was, I think, mainly juice, and I'll show you photos here. Um, so this is actually the first movement I had in the morning, 5:45. Then at 8:05, this is the first movement I had. Sorry. Um, it was mainly juice, reddish orangish in color. I think it was that color because I had a lot of watermelons the day before. There was a bit of a bad smell at first, and then maybe a faint smell of the prunes, and I wasn't sure. Um, it looked like there was a few small solids in there, or maybe some old waste or past juices. I wasn't really sure, but I was at least happy that I had a movement around an hour after. That was a good sign, but I knew something else was coming out at me. So at 8:30, I had the movement that really let me know that I passed the prune test for sure. This one was a big juice movement, and I could see some obvious prune fibers in there. In fact, I'll double click this. These things are quite clearly prune fibers, and it smelled a bit sweet, although it looks like I don't have that in my notes. So happy for that. 1 hour and 20 minutes or so after finishing the prunes, I had some obvious prune fibers in a movement that I passed, and it was a big juice movement, which makes me think that that was the prune water that came out, or at least the rest of it. I'm assuming some of it came out at 8:05 a.m. And I talked to Nathan. He said there was even probably a good chance that there were some prune fibers in that movement at 8:05 a.m. And I don't have the specifics of the prune test, but you're supposed to get your first movement within an hour or an hour and 15 minutes after you finish the prunes. So having one at 55 minutes and then at an hour and 20 minutes, it falls in line with that. And then I believe the rest of the prune test protocols that you're supposed to pass the rest of the prunes within 8 to 12 hours or so. That's why I ate them quite early. And that was great for me because at 1:45, 2:10, and then 2:15 is when I passed the bulk of the prunes. And then I think, maybe every half an hour or so thereafter until they were gone. I think that was maybe around like 5 or something. But you can see at 1:45 my first prune porridge movement, and there's quite a bit more at the bottom of the bowl there. But looking at that, I mean that's a prune skin there. You can see how stringy it is. That's obviously prunes. There's not even anything else really in the movement, and it smelled very sweet. And I was quite struck by how sweet it smelled, and that was a great sign as far as I'm concerned. So I was, riding high at that point, reported my results to the gang. They said, that's great. That's actually a quite good time. I think an hour and 45 minutes, that's like 6.5, 7, what was that? How many hours is that after 7:10? Yeah, 6.5 hours. Or is that 7.5 hours? Why is this so hard? 6.5 hours. So 6.5 hours I was getting rid of the prunes. And then this next one, you can see, I mean, look how big these prune skins are right there. I mean, these were like thin. They are like skins of a grape, except they're a prune, which is a dried plum. There's a lot more at the bottom of the bowl. I mean, it just came pouring out. Nothing else. Only prune fibers at 2:10. 2:15. This one's very interesting because it's just prune fibers, and there's like not even any other coloration. Now that other coloration is because I've been drinking like one watermelon a day, sometimes an orange watermelon, sometimes a yellow watermelon, sometimes a red watermelon. But I mean, at 2:15 it was just prune fiber, and then at 3:10 I think I was in a different toilet, so I didn't get a very good shot, but it's the same thing. And then this was the case every 30 minutes or so. I would run to the bathroom and I would past a movement that was just less and less prune fiber, more like water or just not that much of anything. And that happened and that went until like 5 or 6 p.m. Um, Now this is the following day now, so it's Thursday, day I guess 108, although or T minus 1 day of now breaking the juice feast, and I've had my one fruit meal today, and I had like a third of a yellow watermelon, and then I juiced the rest, and I mean, again, that I was struck by how sweet the yellow watermelon tasted. I had made yellow watermelon juice, and that juice was good. It wasn't my favorite of watermelon. I mean, I like preferred red or orange watermelon to it, but the yellow watermelon, when eating it, it struck me how sweet it was, and it was like the prunes were. I was just like, wow, I was really, I mean, it wasn't. I was struck by how sweet it was, and I didn't think things would taste extra sweet to me because I've been drinking these sweet juices on this fast. But so far, eating them has brought me an extra um, acute or noticeable sweet sensation, which is very nice and very exciting. Um, my stomach and digestive system feels a lot more calm and relaxed today with this watermelon, which is just like, I mean, practically water. It's just barely requires any chewing at all. Whereas yesterday with the prunes, I mean, 8 ounces of prunes, it blasts through you, and you feel it eager to get out. Um, so the watermelon, I haven't felt that way. With today and tomorrow, because I'm feeling good, I'll have 2 fruit meals, probably some more watermelon because I got an orange one still left over from the farmer's market, and then also a cantaloupe, maybe like half a cantaloupe, and then juice the rest of those that I don't eat, which I still have them left over from last week's trip to the farmer's market. And I'll have probably like some cantaloupe or watermelon and peaches for my 2 fruit meals the next day, and then Sunday, depending on how I feel, I might work a salad, like a very simple salad, like a arugula or some kind of lettuce, and then maybe like a tomato and a red pepper in the evening, and then just kind of see how it goes from there. But I have noticed that I felt a bit tired here and there. I think just my body getting used to more energy being diverted towards digestion, towards my stomach, whereas the last 3.5 months I had been liberated from that. Although sometimes I would take naps, especially in the beginning in the day when I would just feel a sudden need to, and it's usually related to passing a movement. But for the most part during the juice feast, I was liberated from needing to spend energy on digesting food, and for that reason, I would have quite a bit of energy. Whereas that I've noticed after eating something, or also I slept a little bit longer this morning than I have been the other days, or the last month or so of my juice feast. I mean, granted that I woken up at 6:30, but today, whereas before I'd been getting up at like 5 or 5:30, which is fine. Um, but I had been noticing being a little bit more tired at times, but I think that also could just be in transition, just from my stomach not being used to having eaten things in so long. I mean, I'll tell you, when I had done juice fasts before this of 4, 5, 6, 7 days, if I wasn't careful how I broke it, in fact, I remember one time in particular in early September 2019, I mean, I think did like a 4 or 5 day juice feast and kind of broke it carelessly. And that evening I was at an event and I just like filled up on hors d'oeuvres, and my stomach just ballooned. I mean, I could tell that I did not have the digestive acids in my stomach that I normally do. And of course that served as a warning to be responsible in how I break these juice feasts going forward, and especially this time it being my longest one. But so far there have been no complications, and I don't expect there to be. So yeah, I will check back in towards the end of my week of breaking the juice feast, and then after that we'll see where this channel goes. But I've still got some other ideas about got some videos I want to make. I want to talk about how things settle for me after doing this juice feast, what kind of foods I'm drawn towards, what kind of emotions I have, what my energy levels are, what my body looks like. Um, and I also have some ideas about, you know, some things I want to try relating to juices after the juice feast and other wellness things. So I think there'll be some more updates from videos going forward. Maybe not quite as frequently, or maybe I will make videos as frequently, depending on if I'm inspired. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being along with me on this journey, and please do ask questions of me, especially if you're considering doing a juice feast on your own. I mean, Alonzo and Nathan and Anna know that I asked questions of them a lot before starting this, and when I did start it, I wanted to make sure and document everything because I had a lot of questions that were hard to get specific answers to, and so I want this to be able to serve as a resource to people who may want to go on a healing journey themselves. But I'm always here to answer questions, and thanks for joining me.